Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a topic that's super important for all of us, emotional maturity. Now, we all know someone who's, let's just say, a little emotionally challenged, right? They might be stuck in their ways or just don't quite get how their actions affect others. But here's the thing. Emotional maturity isn't about age. It's about how we understand and handle our emotions and how we treat the people around us. So in this video, we're going to break down 7 telltale signs of emotional immaturity. The important thing is to recognize these patterns and learn how to build healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Let's get started. All right, let's talk about accountability. Or should I say the lack of it? You know the type, always blaming everyone else for their problems. They spilled coffee on themselves. It's the barista's fault for making it too hot. Forgot to pay a bill? Must be their partner's job to remind them. Emotionally immature folks have a really hard time owning up to their mistakes. This lack of accountability can be super frustrating for everyone involved. It creates an environment of distrust and resentment because nobody wants to be around someone who can't take responsibility for their actions. Plus, it prevents personal growth, because how can you learn from your mistakes if you never admit you made any? It's about taking control of your life and your choices, and that's pretty empowering. Okay, next up we've got emotional regulation, or in this case, the lack thereof. This is like watching a pot of water boil over constantly. Emotionally immature individuals struggle big time with managing their emotions. They might throw temper tantrums, have over-the-top reactions to minor inconveniences, or just generally struggle to keep their cool when things don't go their way. But when someone's default mode is emotional chaos, it can be really draining for everyone around them. The key here is learning healthy coping mechanisms, finding ways to process emotions in a constructive way, whether that's through journaling, meditation, or talking to a therapist. Learning to regulate those emotions is like getting an emotional upgrade. You go from a flip phone to a smartphone in no time. Let's talk about dependency, and I'm not talking about your morning coffee. Emotionally immature people often rely heavily on others for, well, pretty much everything. Validation, decision-making, you name it. They might constantly seek approval from others, have a hard time saying no, or just generally struggle to function without someone holding their hand. Now, it's important to have a support system, but there's a difference between leaning on someone and clinging on for dear life. This kind of dependency can create an unhealthy power dynamic in relationships, leaving the other person feeling drained and resentful. The key here is encouraging independence. Help them find their own voice, make their own choices, and build their own sense of self-worth. Because true confidence comes from within, not from the validation of others. All right, let's talk about conflict, or rather, the art of avoiding it like the plague. Emotionally immature individuals are masters at dodging difficult conversations and situations. They might change the subject, shut down completely, or become passive-aggressive masters. But here's the thing. Avoiding conflict doesn't make it go away. In fact, it usually just makes it worse. When we avoid conflict, we allow resentment and misunderstandings to fester. Learning to communicate effectively, even when it's uncomfortable, is crucial for building healthy relationships. It's about finding your voice, expressing your needs, and learning to navigate disagreements with respect and understanding. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're talking about impulsivity. Emotionally immature individuals are often driven by their immediate wants and needs, without much thought for the consequences. They might make rash decisions, overspend, or engage in risky behavior without thinking about the long-term implications. Now, a little spontaneity can be fun. But when impulsivity rules the roost, it can lead to a whole lot of chaos and regret. It's like building a house of cards. One wrong move and the whole thing comes crashing down. Learning to pause, reflect, and consider the potential outcomes of our actions is a key aspect of emotional maturity. It's about developing that internal filter that helps us make thoughtful choices rather than letting our impulses run the show. Okay, let's talk about relationships. The kind that involve more than just liking each other's Instagram posts. Emotionally immature people often struggle to build and maintain healthy, long-lasting relationships. Their lack of accountability, poor emotional regulation, and difficulty with conflict resolution can create a perfect storm for relationship drama. They might be clingy one minute and distant the next, leaving their partners feeling confused and emotionally exhausted. Building a strong, healthy relationship is like tending to a garden. It takes time, effort, and a whole lot of nurturing. It requires communication, compromise, and a willingness to put in the work, even when it's hard. So, if you're noticing these patterns in your own relationships, it might be time to have an honest conversation with yourself and your partner about what needs to change. Last but not least, let's talk about empathy, or in this case, the lack thereof. Emotionally immature individuals often struggle to understand or share the feelings of others. They might interrupt, talk over others, or just generally be so caught up in their own world that they miss the emotional cues of those around them. Empathy is the ability to step outside of ourselves and truly connect with another person's emotional experience. It's about listening with our hearts, not just our ears, and trying to understand the world from another person's perspective. Developing empathy is like building a bridge between ourselves and others, allowing for deeper connection and understanding. Remember, emotional maturity is a journey, not a destination.